So the biggest mistake people do when drops, I guess they just do too much. You know, I mean, gravity's on your side, so you're gonna drop no matter what. Now, are you gonna make the drop safer by doing what you're doing or not doing it? Or are you gonna make it more dangerous by actually turning the drop into a jump? So, I wanna get into the couple of techniques. There's really not much to it. Shouldn't take too long. Stick around. Ooh, I don't know if this is any good. What is this? This is a drop. Nah. What do you think? Drop? Let's talk about the drop itself. You should kind of know what's behind it or what the landing looks like before you're launching off a drop. So I don't think it's wise to just launch yourself off of something that you don't know what the landing looks like. I mean, if it's tiny drops and you can just go by sight, go ahead and do that. But sometimes it helps if it's a blind drop. I mean, sometimes it always helps to know what you're doing, where you're going, where you're ending up, and what comes right after the drop. What if there's a bigger drop right after that drop? As far as body position goes, you're gonna have your feet in your little sweet spot position with usually it's your strong foot forward. And if the speed matches the drop, you actually don't have to do much of anything. Now, sometimes you find drops that are just right behind a turn, or there's like some sort of boulder field right in front of it. So you're not gonna have enough speed to just kind of ride off of it. So at that point, you're gonna have to shift your weight backwards fast enough that the front wheel is unweighted and you still land with both wheels at the same time. Oh, we should talk about landing. I personally think landing both wheels at the same time is the best way of doing it. Especially since most of the times the landings are probably pointing downhill too, so you wanna have control over your bike as quickly as possible. There's a technique, more from the trial sport. You land rear wheel first, kind of like an Evel Knievel landing. But what happens is you have basically a two-stage kind of shock absorb. It's the rear wheel, you know, let your legs absorb the shock mostly, and then the front wheel comes down. If you do this on a downhill section, like a steep downhill section, and your rear wheel land first, and then that front wheel slaps down, it might actually buck you over the handlebars. So get both wheels on the ground, gain control, and you're good to go. The other thing you don't want to do is, when you're dropping, is even so you're shifting your weight back quickly, you really don't want to lock out your elbows. You want to have some wiggle room for corrections, because if you're landing with your arms and elbows completely straight and locked out, what happens if you, I don't know, have to correct your steering a little bit, or you hit a pebble? There's nothing to give. So you want to not completely straighten out your arms, have your elbows slightly bent. Even so, you might be pretty far behind the bike to get that weight back there. Now, the biggest mistake I think people are doing with drops, they turn them into jumps. I mean, it's fine if that's what you want to do, but ideally, you don't want to gain any altitude. You don't want to gain any height. You just want to safely get down on the other side of that drop. And so the bunny hop preload, the bump jump preload, those kind of techniques, they don't really belong into how to go off a drop off properly. So if you see anybody preloading before a drop, well, they just turn into a jump, which is fine, but just so you know the difference. Oh, there's a drop. I found it. I found the mother of all drops on this ride. Let's do some video here quick. Yeah, you all have great suspension bikes these days, and they do basically most of the work for you. But the most of my suspension is still in your legs and in your arms. So when you land, you know, soak that up, that impact. You know, don't let the bike do all the work. Even so, it's probably more than happy to do it for you. But help out a little bit. And between you and the bike, you got a ton of travel there. You can jump from really high heights. That's a drop. Actually, I can have Stacy do the drop.
Oh.
Yeah, let's do Stacy drop. Okay. Takeoff is maybe here, landing is maybe here. Let's call it about a foot. So theoretically, no preload, just dropping. There you go, beautiful. Find a small drop with a good takeoff, or it's not a takeoff, with a good entry and a good exit. And then you do different speeds on that. You know, hit it fast, hit it slow. And you'll see that the slower you go, the more you're gonna have to shift your weight from the front to the back. Now you wanna do that without preloading the bike. You just wanna shift the weight backwards without pushing down on the front wheel. So remember, the one thing we're trying to avoid is to gain height. We just wanna get off the drop and then land with both wheels at the same time. Well, I hope this helps anybody doing drops and staying safe. You know, I make videos like this once in a while. You should check out maybe the one about flat turns, berms. I don't know what else I make. Bump jump, bunny hop.
Chain.
Huh?
The chain.
Chain. The chain. Oh, how to get your chain back on. Who cares? Yeah, check out the channel. Subscribe, like. Really appreciate it. And I'll see you guys whenever.